everybody. This is Language Mantras, Basic English session number 50, and we have the sequence of tenses today. When you write a complex sentence, you have two verbs. One in the principal clause, that is the principal verb, and another in the subordinate clause, that is the second verb. Now, if the sentence happens to be in the indirect speech format, then you have to decide very carefully whether these two verbs will require just one type of tense or two different types of tenses. In the English language, there is very well-defined guidelines in this matter. Those guidelines come within the definition of sequence of tenses. If the main verb, that is in the principal clause, is in the present tense or in the future tense, you need not worry at all. There is no problem. But if it is the past tense that is in the principal clause, then you have to take extra care. You have to change the verb or verbs in the subordinate clause into the corresponding past tense or tenses. Got the point? In other words, if the main verb is in the past tense in a sentence, then all the verbs in the sentence must show the past context. This is what is known as back-shifting. I think a little bit explanation is necessary. Back-shifting means you move the verb one step towards the past. If it is present tense, say do, it becomes did. If it is did, then it becomes had done. If it is has done, then again it becomes had done. If it is will do, then it becomes would do. That means you push the verbs towards past. This is what happens in this sequence of tenses. Remember 3-4 things. If it is a simple sentence, there is no question of this problem. If it is a complex sentence, only then complexity comes. And if it is a compound sentence, you have to depend on the context of the sentence and your common sense logic. That's all. I think it looks a little bit, difficult. But well, let's see some examples and try to understand what I have already said. So let's see. This is principal verb in the present tense, this part, and the principal verb in the future tense, this part. I've said that if the main verb is in the present tense, there is no problem. If it is in the future tense, there is no problem. So let's see. These parts, A, B, C, 3 sentences we have in the indirect speech format and in 3 tenses. So direct speech is this. The doctor says, comma, quotation mark, ... That means there is something. Well, she loves medicine. Okay? The doctor says, comma, quotation mark. She loves medicine. Now we turn it into indirect speech formation. What happens then? The doctor says that she loves medicines. Is there any change? No. The verb remains the same. The doctor says, here also, she loves medicines. This is the principal clause and this is the subordinate clause. You see, there is no clash between subordinate clause verb and the principal clause verb. The doctor says she loves medicines. Come to the past tense. Doctor says that she loved medicines. Again, there is no confusion. Again, there is no clash. It goes well. The doctor says that she will love medicines. Again, in the future tense also. there is no problem. So if the principal clause has a present tense form, then it goes well with present tense, past tense and future tense. There is no clash at all. And if it is the future tense, the things are the same again. You see, the doctor will say, future tense, the doctor will say this is the principal clause, and the subordinate clause, he will say something within quotation mark. Suppose this one is there, the patient is fine. Then turn into, indirect speech. What will happen? The doctor will say that the patient is fine. Compatible? Yes, it is. No problem. The doctor will say the patient was fine. Compatible? Yes, it is. The doctor will say the patient will be fine. Again, it is fine. So when it is the present tense in the principal clause or the future tense in the principal clause, it goes well with all different types of tenses. Whether it is past tense, future tense, present tense, there is no problem. And problem comes only when the principal verb is in the past tense. So let's see some examples and clarify the problem. Right? Ready? Okay, come. Number 1, the doctor said, quotation mark, the patient does well. Here in the direct speech, we have two verbs. One is said in the past tense and here we have does in the present tense. Now, if you turn it into an indirect speech formation, then this it does not exist as such. It is under the influence of this said verb. Because this is in the past tense, this does verb is under the influence of this verb, say verb. It is in the past tense here. Therefore, it will step backwards, one step towards the past. This is back shifting. So what will happen in the indirect speech? The doctor said that the patient did well. Got it? The doctor said that the patient did well. The next sentence, the doctor said that the patient did well. Okay, we have already did well here within quotation mark. So what will happen here? This did will go backwards one step towards the past time. So what will happen? The doctor said that the patient had done well. You got the point? Third example, the doctor said the patient will do well. So here we have said and here we have will. Here we have said in the past tense and here we have will do in the future tense. So what will happen in the indirect speech? The doctor said that the patient would do well. All these things are back shifting. Whenever it is past tense in the main clause, all other verbs in the sentence will go back one step towards the past. Okay? Now, is it an absolute rule or exceptions are there? Yeah, some exceptions are always there. There are at least 3 types of exceptions, or there are 3 areas where exceptions are there. Number 1, if it is a universal truth, if it is a habitual action, and if it is a comparative context, right? So let's see example again. He said that the sun rises in the east. Now you know. Here we have used said and here we have used rises. We didn't use rose. Why? That is not necessary. Because this is a universal truth. In case of universal truth, this law of back shifting does not arise. Second sentence. He said that he takes a cup of wine every night. Said verb goes well with takes, past tense and present tense. No class, because this is a habitual action. Therefore, this law is invalid. Number 3. John did it better than I can do. John did it better than I could do. John did it better than I will do. When we compare things, Now, 3 time zones are referred to here. One is past tense, this one is present tense. In the second sentence, past tense, and in the third sentence, it is past tense and future tense. So logically, this is acceptable. If you remember, these 3 or 4 items we have discussed, so far as the sequence of tenses is concerned, you can write almost 95% writing is right. So it's time. I say goodbye. Thank you very much.